in many different places throughout our Tri-County area. This is something that the police are having a very difficult time dealing with, as well as the sale of pills and other illegal drugs in our area. And there's people out there who say, well, alcohol is not a drug. Let me share with you something from the CDC. Of course, the CDC is a government organization that monitors health in our country. And this is what the CDC said. Alcohol is the most commonly used and abused drug among youth in the United States, more than tobacco and illicit drugs. In other words, the CDC itself says that alcohol is a drug. And it has been called the gateway drug because many people who are involved in pills, illicit drugs such as pills, pain pills, as well as meth, many of them started in this lifestyle by the consumption of alcohol.
Let's talk about the dangers of alcohol too. Not only is it a danger to our public, our community, to our children, it's a danger to all, you know.
Yes. There's this idea out there, and again, this is another myth out there, that perhaps access to alcohol, such as in stores or whatever, or in bars, that it does not affect people's consumption of it. And that's just wrong completely. In fact, there was an article this past week in the Times-Tribune regarding synthetic marijuana. And there was a lady from London who was asked what can be done about this issue. And in the Times-Tribune, she said that it needed to be made illegal because the more access, particularly that youth and teenagers had to synthetic marijuana, the more likely they were to purchase it and the more likely they were to use it.
Right.
The same is true concerning alcohol. When people have more access to alcohol, when they see it in stores, when they see it in bars, they are more likely to consume it. They're more likely to use it and consume it and abuse it. And that's exactly what we see. And so for those who might say, well, it will not affect people's use or abuse of alcohol, that's just not the case, because the more access there is to it, the more people are likely to abuse it and so forth. It's just like if, for instance, going on a diet. This is something that we're all familiar with if you've ever gone on a diet before. If you're trying to lose weight, whether that be whether you're trying to stay off sugars or whatever it might be, if you go through your house and there's cakes everywhere, obviously you're going to have a more difficult time.
Temptation.
The temptation is all around you, you see.
Right.
And it's the same way in alcohol. The more temptation there is out there around us, the more likely it is that people's going to abuse it.
And one of the biggest misconceptions that people may have, they think, well, what can I do about it? Well, I can't stop it. Yes, you can stop it by your vote. Get involved. Vote. Vote. It takes people's voice to be heard.
That's exactly right. There have been, Brother Don Cole from the Kentucky Ethics League shared Friday evening, there have been some counties and some cities that have lost the wet-dry vote, and it's become wet by just 3 or 4 votes.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, that could happen in Corbin. That could happen in Barberville. That's why it's so important. If you're viewing and you are a citizen of Barberville, you're a citizen of Corbin or London, when these elections come about, get out and vote. Let your voice be known by your vote. It is our privilege as Americans to exercise this right, and let's stand up as Christians, especially. Let's stand up and let our voice be known by casting our vote no against the legal sales of alcohol.
Exactly, and we don't have much time left. That's why we're getting this program out on the airwaves as soon as we can, is because, there's only about a week or 2 weeks to the vote.
Yes, that's exactly right. The wet-dry vote in Barberville will be on February the 7th, and my understanding is that the wet-dry vote here in the expanded sales vote here in Corbin will be a week later, approximately a week later, the next week. And I'm heard that the vote in London will be soon after as well. So
there's so many effects to alcohol. There's drunken drivers, of course. People killing innocent people. I've heard of families even on their way to churches being hit by a drunken driver. You know, it's a shame. It's awful. These tragedies could be helped by people getting involved and putting a stop to this. You know, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to get involved. It's time to get involved because there's too many people, Brother Jimmy, that have said, I'm not going to do nothing about it and just whatever they want to do about it. And now we see the area being overrun with drugs and all this terrible things when we can make a difference.
That's exactly right. According to one statistic about the impaired driver,